We've all been with people that we liked them, we felt like we had a good connection with them, but we didn't feel that urgency. We didn't feel that priority. When they would text us, we would look at their text message and it never felt that crack compulsion to text them back. But then all of a sudden one day you start noticing that they've been a little distant. One day you start noticing that maybe they're not responding as fast. One day you start noticing that they're not prioritizing you as much. You get that creeping feeling, that soft whisper in the middle of a noisy room. You start to hear it. And then all of a sudden, something in you wakes up like a brush with death. And all of a sudden now you want to prioritize them. All of a sudden in your mind, all of a sudden they look so much greater than they were before. Now you're chasing, now you're texting, now you're initiating more contact. Now you are prioritizing them when you didn't before. This is similar to a brush with death. Sometimes our complacency, our overexposure to the other person naturally causes a deadening of our appreciation for them. And these are moments that we've all experienced where we thought we didn't feel that much for this person, but then they do something and then all of a sudden there's a rush, there's a waterfall of emotion turning up within us that causes us to prioritize them above everything else, right? And that's what we're going to talk about, how to do that, right? Because a lot of you guys are sitting on treasure that you just haven't looked into. And the reason why is because you are doing things that causes you to not be prioritized. Here you go. So people are wasting time with you because you just don't give them a sense of urgency. Sometimes you have to wake them up with outside pressure. Appeal to their emotions, make them realize your value. Place yourself in an ungraspable position and they'll sense the urgency and prioritize you. You have to become ungraspable. Even though they're with you, you want to become ungraspable. You want to become like a perfect example of an ungraspable person is an independent voter, right? You have people who vote for one party their whole lives. These are the Melissas of the world. The people who only vote for one color, right? For one party. Then you have the, independents that they'll sway and they'll vote for multiple parties depending on who they get. And what do most politicians work to? They don't work to win over the people from their own party. You're really preaching to the choir, right? You're trying to win over the other party, the middle ground people, and you want to be that person, right? And there are ways that you could be this person while being fully and 100% committed to this person. Let's talk about how to do that, right? Because if you give them a situation, a relationship that is relaxed, a relationship where they feel no fear of losing you, no tension, what will happen is that they will let themselves go and they're gonna just stop prioritizing you. And one day they'll look at them and realize they're not the person you went out with. So how do you do this? Well, I'm gonna show you guys a very interesting way to do this. This is something that I discovered the other day. Not the other day, but I've kind of known about this. But for some reason, I never really realized how powerful it is. And that's spiritualizing the relationship. Sex and spirituality, unfortunately, go hand in hand, people. It's just how that is, man. Like, holy dick is something else, right? Holy pum pum is something else, right? But that's more culty. This one is more about spiritualizing it. Speaking of destiny, speaking of the universe, or even with Christians, letting them know how God brought you guys together. Spiritualizing it and giving it a sense that there's something outside of ourselves that is pushing us together will naturally let the person relaxed. They'll stop being self-conscious, right? Because the spiritual gets us out of our bodies. The spiritual gets us to stop thinking of ourselves and thinking of greater destiny. This causes a person to fall in love with you a lot faster than anything else. Honest to God. It's like if you date, for example, an example of that, imagine you date someone. Let's just give you an example. And you're convinced that you knew them in the past life, for example, right? Or you're convinced that God brought you guys together, right? If you actually love this person, the belief that an outside spiritual force brought you guys together will bind you deeper with this person than the thought that you guys met by pure chance. Motherfuckers, if you met by chance, say God brought you guys together. Okay, this is the evilest thing, people. Or even saying how the universe, right? Or even spiritualizing the physical, right? Not just having sex for the sake of it. You're having tantric sex, right? Not just cuddling for the sake of it, right? You spiritualize every point of the relationship. And when you mix the physical with this, people, I don't know what to say, man. Like, I don't. And the funny thing is, you guys can do this with anything, right? And women is one. And women are the most vulnerable to this. To be honest with you, what I've learned, using the what's Aquarius thing, the fucking star shit, astrology, speaking of destiny, talking about how your energies are aligned. Like, man, I just hate the fact that people really people really believe in this type of stuff, man. I remember one time, this one girl said like, oh my God, we're both Virgos. We're meant to be together. We're a perfect match. And I'm not gonna lie, the day before I did shrooms and I had and I felt like the universe was gonna bring me someone, right? I'm looking at this girl, I'm like, okay, I felt that too. This was years ago. I was like, okay. And when I broke up with her, because she gave me the psycho eyes, I remember her just saying, but what about the universe? I believe it's so true. This girl it took her months. Honestly, she was the longest person that took her the longest to get over me. I'm not a hard get over people, by the way. It's not hard to get over Father Alex, trust me. If you know me, you were like, okay, it's not that hard. But just because you thought it was this like universal linking up, God forbid if we had the same birthdays, I mean, that would have been it, you know? So find ways to bring the spiritual into this. You know, like just find ways to do it, or even make sense on spiritual rituals with the person. Go to yoga together, make the habit of meditating together, make the habit of having spiritual trips where you guys go to a certain destiny because that's where you guys met, or go to the restaurant where you guys met because I feel the connection is harder there, is more strong there. People, this works, dude. Even if you're a dude, if somebody does this on you, this works. Let me see. I'm trying to think of one that was similar that actually happened. Oh yeah, with this one girl where I really felt a spiritual connection. People, it wasn't even a lie. Like I was like, yeah, I feel a spiritual connection with you, you know. And I remember I fell for her. I really did, and she fell for me. Like. And we both really believed we had a similar spiritual energy. You know, she believed that I had something I had to offer, and also she had something that she had to offer, right? And because it was more spiritual, it elevated the relationship. It really did. Like I mean, I'm gonna talk about this in the Robert Greene book club because it talks about this too. But it's really I want to warn you, be careful with this. This could get really manipulative, to be honest with you. All right, so the next one is do not fully commit. Do not fully commit, right? And that means never let them know that you are at 100% loving them, right? It doesn't have to be. In the beginning, at least, this is why I recommend having friends of the opposite sex. Like me, I have female friends, right? And I have female friends where I will never have sex with them, ever, right? And even though I find them attractive, I have those types of relationships. But the reason why you want to go the friend route, first of all, if you're a guy watching this, right, trying to get the pum pum quickly is so obvious. And I learned in life that always take the path of least expectation, because it comes with the resistance. It's always best to start off as friends. Always best to start off as friends. And the reason why that is because there's a certain tension. There's a certain sexual tension behind every male to female friendship. Behind any friendship that you guys are attracted to each other, there's always tension. And you want to be able, if you control your emotion, you're going to be able to tell when somebody likes you, because their intensity goes up over time. The way they look at you changes. They'll want to see you more often. They'll want to see you more alone. They're going to be more physical. These are things that happens if you just stay friends with someone and you don't fully commit to them. And this is why I believe that the friend route to seduce someone it's more cynical, and it hurts the most, and it's the most pleasurable, right? Now, I tell this, if for me, I always believe that if you're a guy, for this to work, one, you have to be attractive. Two, you have to offer something, right? And you have to have a masculine frame. If I try to friend zone someone who's a girl, and I'm a sort of a goofball, and I'm never serious, this is not gonna work. It has to be a it's almost like you're acting like you're flirting with them, but you're not at the same time, right? And what happens is that the person is never really gonna know what to date or not. It's gonna be really murky and confusing. Even when you ask them, let's go get dinner together, they're gonna say, is this a real dinner or is this a friendly dinner? And when you're on the date with them, you give them looks here and there where it looks suggestive, and then another time you give them a look that looks friendly. You send mixed signals. You touch them in the arm, which feels intimate, and then you give them complete physical distance, and you go on the opposite direction. These things confuse people, and I've done this by mistake because I have female friends, and I tend to give them creepy looks sometimes. They'll tell me, not in a bad way, but but sometimes those looks look like I'm flirting. In reality, I'm not. But that's all in their heads, because they don't understand what's going on. And the uncertainty, the lack of commitment for you, where you're really friendly, you're consistent, but at the same time, they don't know whether or not you're romantically interested in them. This will create the tension where they're going to be on the aggressive and start to prioritize you. Other ways that you could do this is to just make sure you never give somebody the impression that you're never going to leave. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of you motherfuckers out there go out of your way to let people know that you're never going to leave. So don't do that shit and tell people you watch my channel. The next one, mix harshness with kindness. This is where, I always tell you guys, out of all the people that I've worked with, the one that applied this the most is the one that I respected the most, and that's my ex-boss, Georgina, right? This lady, I'm not even gonna call her bitch, because she might come out of nowhere, but this lady gave me Judge Judy vibe, right? This was her personality. She was a type of woman that that she was a strict mom. You get what I'm saying? Like, she was just like, Alexis, did you do it right? And when you pissed her off, she would like, and then hold in her anger, right? She would roll her eyes, and I pissed her off a lot, man. I remember one time, I forgot, we were at a client's house, and I forgot the papers. Some important paper, man. And she was like, Alexis, she was looking up, she was like, she lowered her, she had glasses, but she would lower them. She was like, Alexis, she reminded me of Miranda Priestley from Devil Wears Prada, but nicer. She was like, Alexis, did you bring the paperwork? And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, no, Georgina. And she was like, and then she went from anger, and then she looked at the client. She was like, we'll be back. We're gonna go get it. She looked at me and looked away, and we walked. We got in her car, didn't say shit. She didn't say anything. I went in, got the paperwork, we went back out, not a word. And I'm like, yo, I'm about to get fired here, man. This is a bullshit. And so the thing about her is that her harshness was never really verbal, right? It was more nonverbal. Her anger, her disappointment was really in rolling of the eyes, looking away, not talking, right? But also her general demeanor was a very serious, confident, like all about work type of person. But then, like I always said, there were moments when in those like within the 1 hour period when we were all having meetings, you saw the ranges, you saw the anger, because eventually I was going to say something that pissed her off, but then you saw the fascination, because sometimes when we were doing case studies and we were giving advice to our coworkers about their cases, I would say, if I would think, so I would say some brilliant shit. I'm not even gonna lie. I would say some shit, and she was like, "Good point, Alexis. Good point." And when she got happy, she wouldn't smile, but she was like, "Good point," and I would be happy. But then sometimes somebody would make a joke, and you would see her rare smile. She would smile like 3 or 4 times a shift, right? But when you saw that smile, it was like there's such a drought because of her serious demeanor, that the few times you saw her smile, it's like having a sip of water when you haven't had water in 10 days, right? Like that little sip will release more emotion than anything else. And the reason why this works is because by making your kindness rare and your harshness as rare, and then a serious or neutral demeanor, the harshness you sent should be of high expectations, right? The harshness that you give out should be of respect, should be of consistency, should be of purely just how to treat me the right way. And if you do it wrong, you're gonna get that from me. And the niceness comes when they meet your expectations. When they do the right thing, you let them know, right? For example, me, I don't really compliment people that much. That's something I should work on. But when I notice that when I compliment people, because I rarely do it, they get like, "Oh, wow, okay." And when I say compliment, I compliment people, but with my partners, sometimes I don't. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? It's the weirdest thing. But I do notice that when I do compliment, it does get to them. Why? Because I rarely do it. I'm more of an action person. For example, like I don't give you a gift. I'll leave the gift in your coffee. Like for example, if I paint something for you, I don't give it to you. I'll leave the painting somewhere in your house where you'll see it maybe a few hours later. I don't give things as, "Hey, here's my gift. I made it for you." No, I do. I don't say. You know what I'm saying? And that works. Honestly, that does work, because I don't compliment you with my words. I don't tell you how much I like you, but I do it with my action, and I believe that's so much better. That because it's your acts of kindness also is wrapped around a veil of mystery. You don't say things. People want to hear things, but people react more to your actions, but they still have the itch of hearing it from you. It's much better to just be a doer than a talker. And then the few times you do compliment, the few times you do express your emotions, it hits better. Just don't be someone who's always dishing it out verbally. Like learn to compliment people without words, right? Learn to compliment people with a look. Learn to compliment and make people feel better by giving them something, doing something for them, and stay away from verbally saying it. You say it, but not as often. It'll have a more deeper effect, and these things will make people prioritize you more, because the mixedness of the harshness and the kindness engages people's emotion. The spiritualization engages people's emotions, because we're all primed to be influenced by the spiritual, and the non-committal aspect also engages their emotions, because it threatens their perceived self-esteem. Why don't you commit to me? You get what I'm saying? Especially if they know you had a history of committing to people faster than you are committing to them. Yeah, I know. It's evil shit, man. Anyways, if you guys want to work with Father Alex 101, click in the description down below to work with me. And I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Don't go to hell, man. If you do this, don't tell people you did it for. All right, guys, we're going to have a brief intermission so that I can tell you guys about our new bundle that we're doing, where you guys can purchase all of my courses
and get it at a discount. So this bundle is pretty much the bundle where you could just buy all of my courses. You could buy Nice Guy, which is a training course on how to come across more assertive, how to come across more confident, how to not give off nice guy vibes. You guys can get access to Dark Game, which is my folk dating course on how to meet women in different scenarios, how to attract women, how to make sure you don't come across as creepy, and essentially how to act like a man and not act like a doofus, to be quite honest with you. And you get all of these bonuses, which is the bonuses of Dark Game, the bonuses of Practical Mastery, which is about how to master a skill, Social Mastery, which is how to master your social life, and the Laws of Human Nature, which is a book club videos that I had dissecting Robert Greene's book. All of this is naturally at around naturally is at $346, but you guys can purchase this bundle and get it at what's the price again? Get it at $238 pretty much. So you guys can purchase it right now. It's a money back 30-day money back guarantee. It's a good way to, rather than just buying them individually and paying extra, you guys can just purchase everything at a discount price. Now, the only thing I don't like is the fact that I'm giving you a lot of information at the same time. That makes me kind of scared, because a lot of times people don't do the things that I teach when you get too much information. But I've gotten too many requests to do this, so I'm just satisfying you guys. Purchase it right now by clicking on the description down below where it says purchase the bundle. All right, let's continue with the video.